Okay, let us proceed with the part 2 of our negotiable instruments lecture. Okay, let us first define what is a holder in due course. We already know that a holder is that person to whom the instrument has been transferred to, endorsed, or delivered. Okay? But not all holder are holder in due course because the best holder is actually the holder in due course because he has all the rights that is protected by law. So holder in due course is a holder who has taken the instrument under the following conditions. Number one, that the instrument is complete and regular upon its face. Okay? So walang defect doon sa mukha, sa form ng instrument. Number two, that he became the holder of before it was overdue, so before the due date, and without notice that it has been previously dishonored if such was the fact. So wala siyang knowledge of defect. That he took it in good faith and for value. Okay, innocent siya of any defect and he has transferred value for the instrument. That at the time it was negotiated to him, he had no notice of any defect in the instrument or defect in the title of the person negotiating it. So that is a holder in due course. A holder in due course is actually has no knowledge of any defect and he took the instrument in good faith and he has given value for the instrument. Okay. As such, the law, particularly the Negotiable Instruments Law, protects his right to collect the amount from the persons primarily liable based on the negotiable instrument that he has in his hands. So what are the rights of a holder in due course? These are the rights to sue on the instrument. Okay. So if may problema sa instrument, he can sue on the instrument and the court will hear his side. So to receive payment on the instrument and payment in due course discharges the instrument. To hold the instrument free from any defect to title prior parties. Okay, to hold the instrument free from defenses available to prior parties among themselves, except real defenses. Okay, so he has the right to enforce payment on the instrument to the full amount against all persons liable thereon. And the defenses referred here are personal defenses and not real defenses. Okay, so we should distinguish between personal defenses and real defenses. If the person liable, primarily liable, meaning the maker or the drawee, have personal defenses, it is not effective against a holder in due course. Okay, while real defenses can be used against holder in due course. You can still remember class katong incomplete document but undelivered na ninakaw sa drawer. Tapos gi-kompleto, tapos gi-negotiate. Real defense to siya because that instrument is invalid because it was stolen as incomplete, gi-kompleto lang. And also yung forged signature, those are real defenses. So any holder cannot claim, even a holder in due course cannot claim on the instrument because these are real defenses. Okay. So ang personal defenses lang ang hindi effective against a holder in due course. Personal defenses meaning yung mga personal na mga ginawa ng mga endorsers, okay, like walang value yung pagka-transfer from one endorser to the other bago na-endorse dun sa holder in due course, then hindi alam ng holder in due course. So any personal defenses among the endorsers is not valid against a holder in due course. Yung real defenses lang ang valid. So who are primarily liable on the instrument? Okay. In case of a promissory note or PN, it is the maker. Diba? Duha lang ang parties sa promissory note, the maker and the payee. So when the time came to collect on the instrument, or if there is a due date, nag-due date na, okay, of course the payee, or if he has endorsed it to other persons, the holder should go to the maker for the payment of the sum of money based on the instrument. So the person primarily liable is the maker. Doon siya muna mangolekta. Okay. In case of a bill of exchange or BOE, it is the acceptor. An acceptor class is actually the drawee na nag-recognize that he is liable on the instrument. Remember, in a bill of exchange, there are three parties. The drawer, yung gumawa. And then payee. And then yung money, yung funds is in the hands of another person, third person, yun ang drawee. Okay? So yung payee, upon due date at maturity date, pupunta siya doon sa payee. Ang unang gagawin niya is i-present niya ang instrument, then si drawee, yung third person, titingnan niya kung okay ba yung i-accept niya ba yung instrument, nababayaran niya based on the funds na nasa kanya. Okay, accept niya muna. Then pag i-accept niya, then sa kanya babayaran. Okay, he is called an acceptor. Okay. So, an acceptor is applicable sa bill of exchange. Is actually the drawee who, after being told by the drawer to pay the payee, has accepted the instrument and is willing to pay the instrument. So, who are secondarily liable on the instrument? Secondary liability class meaning, okay, upon the presentment of the instrument doon sa primarily liable, in the case of a promissory note, present doon sa maker, or in the case of a bill of exchange, present doon sa acceptor, and then hindi nila binayaran, this is the time na hahabulin ng holder yung mga previous endorsers. So sila ang tinatawag na who are secondarily liable. So sa bill of exchange is the drawer. Okay. Dahil ayaw bayaran ni drawee, yung third person na inutusan niya magbayad, balikan mo si drawer sa bill of exchange. Sabi mo, drawer, bakit ayaw bayaran ni drawee? Sabi mo, doon kukunin sa drawee. So sa kay drawer ka pupunta as a secondarily liable person. And also sa endorser. Okay. In the case of promissory note and the bill of exchange, pwede rin sa endorser. Okay. Kasi sa promissory note, i-present mo doon sa maker, ayaw bayaran, doon ka magmulikta sa previous endorsers. And this is also true sa bill of exchange. So, for the endorsers sa promissory note and bill of exchange are secondarily liable on the instrument. So what are the liability of the makers in the case of promissory note? Okay, actually the maker of the negotiable promissory note warrants that he will pay it according to the tenor of the promissory note. Okay, yan ang promise niya actually. That the pay exists and the pay has capacity to endorse. Ito yung mga pinapromise ni maker. So ito yung liable sa para dyan. Okay, ang primary talaga niya liability is bayaran yung promissory note according to the tenor. Okay, the liability of the maker is primary and unconditional. Neither can he make the maker escape liability by virtue of the non-benefit to him of the proceeds of the note, since that is of no concern to the payee. So dahil si maker talaga sa promissory note, dalawa lang ang parties, the maker and the payee, so si maker talaga ang primarily liable, and it is unconditional kasi sabi sa Negotiable Instruments Law, okay, yung promise to pay must be unconditional. So unconditional yung liability ni maker. In the case of the drawer, sa bill of exchange, ang liability niya is actually, okay, he admits the existence of the payee and is then capacity to endorse and engages that on due presentment. Hindi presentation ang ginagamit na word sa negotiable instrument, kundi presentment. Okay, presentment is to present the document para bayaran. The instrument will be accepted or paid or both according to its tenor, that if it is dishonored, the necessary proceedings on dishonor may be duly taken, and that he will pay the amount thereof to the holder or to any subsequent individual who may be compelled to pay it. Okay. So, ang promise talaga dito ni drawer is pag binigay yung instrument doon sa drawee, tatanggapin yun ng drawee at babayaran. And if ayaw bayaran ni drawee, siya ang magbabayad, si drawer. Yun ang promise niya. Yun ang magiging liability niya. Acceptor. What is the liability of the acceptor sa bill of exchange? An acceptor is actually the drawee who upon presentment of the document has accepted the document na okay, bayaran ko ito. Maybe kasi class, ngayon niya i-accept, then ang due date next month pa bayaran. Pero ngayon pwede niya na-accept. So kapag wala pa nabayaran, tapos nag-agree na siya, ang tawag sa kanya acceptor. Okay, yung drawee is the acceptor. Okay. The acceptor, by accepting the instrument, particularly the bill of exchange, engages that he will pay it according to the tenor of his acceptance. Okay. He admits the existence of the drawer. Okay. Na-admit ni acceptor na, oo, may drawer ng ito, sakto. I recognize the drawer. And the genuineness of the drawer's signature, kasi tinanggap niya na yung instrument na babayaran niya. So, nire-recognize niya na nakilala niya yung drawer, tapos tama yung signature ng drawer, and then the capacity and authority of the drawer to draw the instrument. Okay. Existence of the payee and then his capacity to endorse. So, what are the liability of a general endorser? Actually, class, malaming liability ang endorsers. Depende kung ano ka, klaseng endorser ka, kung simple ka na endorser, and so on and so forth. Kaya lang, because this is a simplified presentation of the negotiable instruments law, we will just focus on the liability of an endorser in general, whether it be a promissory note or bill of exchange. So, if you are an endorser, you warrant all subsequent holders in due course. And you warrant that the instrument is genuine in all its respects and what it purports to be. So, as endorser, sinasabi mo na totoo yung document in all respects. And that he has good title to it. That is why he can transfer kasi sabi niya, I have a good title to it. I have a good claim. Kaya pwede ko i-transfer to another. That all prior parties have capacity to contract. That the instrument is, at the time of this endorsement, is valid and subsisting. Yun yung mga promise ng endorser. Every time an endorser endorses, negotiates, and delivers a negotiable instruments, ito yung mga promise o warranties na binibigay niya. That is why kung may violation siya dito, he will become liable. And number 5, in addition, he engages that on due presentment, it shall be accepted or paid or both, as the case may be, according to the tenor. That if it is dishonored, the necessary price condition will be duly taken and will pay the amount to the holder or any subsequent endorser who may be compelled to pay it. Okay. So just like a drawer, ang sinasabi ng endorser, okay, pag ayaw bayaran niya ng person primarily liable, ako magbayad. That is why, sa bill of exchange, if hindi magbayad ang acceptor or ang drawee acceptor, okay, ang pwede abulin ng holder is not only the drawer but also the endorsers because kasama yun sa liability nila na babayaran. So kung sino sa kanila magbayad, it's either the drawer or any endorser, edi masaya si holder. Okay. Pero pwede niya habulin lahat para marami siyang choices kung sino habulin or pwede niya habulin lahat until such time na mabayaran yung instrument. Then bahala na yung mga nagbayad kung sino na naman ang habulin niya. Okay. Presentment for acceptance sa bill of exchange class. Itong presentment for acceptance, okay, we do not use the word presentation sa negotiable instruments law because nakasulat kasi sa law, sa batas, is presentment. So, presentment of acceptance is only for bill of exchange. Kasi yung promissory note, okay, i-present mo doon sa maker. Hindi niya kailangan i-accept kasi in the first place, siya yung gumawa. Sa bill of exchange kasi class, iba yung gumawa si drawer. So, kailangan mo ipakita doon kay drawee para makita ni drawee kung totoo ba na sa kanya ang funds ni drawer na pambayad. So, the presentment for acceptance is actually the presentation of the document by the endorser or the payee to the drawee para makita ni drawee. And once the drawee accepts the document, it is called an acceptor. So it is the production or exhibition of a bill of exchange to the drawee for his acceptance or payment if due. Okay. So kung due date na, saka mo pag-present for acceptance, kasama na rin yung presentment for payment doon. Okay. Pwede kasi class na payable on demand yung bill of exchange. Okay. On site. Ang tawag ng law yun, on site. Ibig sabihin, pag nakita ng pay ng drawee, dapat bayaran niya. Okay. So, upon the presentment of acceptance is actually also a presentment for payment if due. Okay. Due date na, pinakita mo yung bill of exchange sa drawee, nakita ng drawee, i-accept niya, and then bayaran niya. Pwede yun, sabay. Pero minsan kasi, ang due date is next month pa, ngayon mo ipakita para sigurado i-accept ng drawee. Pag sabi ng drawee, okay, accept ko ito. That is, the drawee becomes the acceptor. Pero ang payment will be next month na kasi ang due date naman talaga is next month. Okay. So, iba dapat yung presentment for acceptance, iba din yung presentment for payment. Pero if due na, sabay na yun, pwede na yun. Presentment for acceptance and payment. So, acceptance. Ano ibig sabihin ng acceptance? Okay, acceptance is only applicable sa bill of exchange. It is the act by which the drawee manifests his consent to comply with the request of the drawer contained in the bill of exchange directed to him, and it contemplates an engagement or promise to pay. So, i-accept niya yung utos ng drawer na bayaran si pay. So, that is acceptance. And by accepting, the drawee becomes an acceptor. Acceptance is usually made by writing across the face of the bill of exchange the word accepted, under which the drawee signs his name with the date also written. Kasi class, mas magiging mas negotiable ang isang bill of exchange if accepted na ng drawee. Okay? Kasi ang problemahin mo na lang yung payment kasi accepted na yung document. So, mas maraming mas malaking tatawag ito, value ang pagiging negotiable ng bill of exchange kapag accepted siya. Presentment for payment. This is applicable for promissory note and bill of exchange. Of course, walang presentment for acceptance ang promissory note. Diretso na yung presentment for payment doon sa maker. Because si maker, hindi na kailangan mag-accept kasi siya na nga yung gumawa. Okay. Ang sinasabi niya lang doon, I will pay kapag kag-present na for payment. Hindi for acceptance. Okay. But sa bill of exchange, meron din presentment for payment. So, when we say presentment for payment, it applies to both promissory note and bill of exchange. So the presentment for payment is the presentation of an instrument to the person primarily liable for the purpose of demanding and receiving payment. Simple lang yan. Notice of dishonor. Itong dishonor class is actually ayaw bayaran. Okay, this is applicable sa promissory note or bill of exchange. For example, yung promissory note, okay, present ng payee or ng holder, present niya doon sa maker for presentment for payment, then ayaw bayaran, then that is a dishonor. Okay, yung notice of dishonor, i-notify mo yung mga endorser, oy, dishonor man yung maker, ayaw niya bayaran, so kayo magbayad. So that is the notice of dishonor. Sa bill of exchange naman class, okay, i-present mo for presentment for acceptance, Pag ayaw i-accept ni drawee, it's a dishonor. So, you notify the drawer and the endorser. Ang tawag doon sa pag-notify is notice of dishonor. Parang sinasabi mo, uy, ayaw tanggapin ni drawee yung instrument, so kayo magbayad. Drawer, ikaw magbayad, or kayo mga endorser. Okay? Pwede rin class na i-accept ni sa presentment of for acceptance, i-accept ni drawee, naging acceptor siya, pero sa presentment of payment, ayaw niya bayaran, dishonor pa rin yun. Okay? So, dishonor means hindi gi-honor ng person primarily liable yung instrument. So, that is why the holder must give a notice of dishonor to the secondarily liable persons, such as the drawer or the endorsers, so that the holder can go after them. Halimbawa, maraming endorser, tapos nagpili lang si holder kung sino ang i-notify sa dishonor. Yung mga hindi na-notify is deemed discharge of their liability. Okay? Halimbawa, sa bill of exchange, ang ginotify lang ni holder, si drawer lang. Uy, drawer, di ba bayaran ni drawee? Hindi niya ginotify ang endorsers. Then, in that case, ang mga endorsers hindi na liable. Ang liable lang is yung person na ginotify ni holder. Okay? That is, yan ang sa negotiable instruments. Kung sino lang yung notify, yun lang ang magiging liable. So, notice of dishonor is bringing, either verbally or by writing, to the knowledge of the drawer or endorser of an instrument, the fact that a specified negotiable instrument, upon power proceedings taken, has not been accepted or has not been paid, and that the party notified is expected to pay it. Okay? So, dalawang purpose ng notice of dishonor class. To notify the secondarily liable persons. Number 2, purpose ng notice of dishonor is to expect payment from this secondarily liable person. So, if you are a secondarily liable person, either a drawer or previous endorser, halimbawa ikaw yun, pag nabigyan ka ng notice of dishonor, dahil yung instrument na gi-endorse mo or ginegotiate mo is not it was dishonored by the person primarily liable, pag nakatanggap ka ng notice of dishonor, it is a notification sa iyo na may dishonor, and then you are expected to pay the amount indicated in the negotiable instrument. If such notice is given by notary public, it is called a protest. Okay? Yung protest is notice of dishonor pa rin, kaya lang pirmado siya ng notary public. Any endorser was not notified of the dishonor is discharged from liability. So this is the importance sa notice of dishonor, itong last one. Acceptance for honor. So sa bill of exchange class, presentment for acceptance, bigyan mo sa drawee yung instrument, tapos i-accept niya, that is acceptance. Okay? Then the drawee becomes an acceptor. Itong acceptance for honor class is actually acceptance by another person who is not the drawee. Acceptance for honor. Okay? For example, gi-present kay drawee, ayaw i-honor ni drawee. So sabi ng isang tao na kahit hindi siya party sa instrument, sabi niya, uy, ako na lang mag-accept. Okay? Para hindi mag-cause ng dishonor doon sa mga secondarily liable persons. Okay, din siya na bahala maghabol. Ang tawag doon class is acceptance for honor. Acceptance for honor is acceptance not by the drawee but some other person. Okay, so an acceptance for honor is an undertaking by a stranger to a bill of exchange. So, hindi nga siya party to the instrument. After protest for the benefit of any party liable thereon, and for the honor of the person whose account the bill is drawn, which acceptance inures to the benefit of all parties subsequent to the person for whose honor it is accepted, and conditioned to pay the bill when it becomes due if the original drawee does not pay it. So in short, a third person, a stranger actually, siya ang nag-accept kasi ayaw i-accept ni drawee para hindi mag-cause ng dishonor doon sa mga secondarily liable person. Okay, pero siya, Pero may right na siya nakaka-acquire siya ng right to go after them. Ang purpose lang talaga nito is para mabayaran lang yung instrument. Okay. Kaya tawag sa kanya acceptance for honor. Payment for honor. Okay. So kung binayaran ni Drawey, ang tawag doon payment. Pero pag binayaran ng third person na nag-accept, ang tawag doon payment for honor. Okay, bayaran niya na. Kasi sa Bill of Exchange class, iba yung acceptance, iba yung payment. Pero pwede sabay. Pwede sabay. So, payment for honor is actually payment made by the person who made the acceptance for honor. Yan, it is a payment made by a person whether party to bill or exchange or not. It has been, after it has been protested for non-payment for the benefit of any party liable thereon, for the benefit of the person whose account it was drawn. Okay? So, after acceptance for honor, pwede payment for honor. Ang acceptance for honor class is actually by a stranger. Ang payment for honor may be by a stranger or by an endorser. Ang tawag dun sa nagbayad is the payer for honor. And paying of the holder. Upon paying the holder the amount of the bill and the notarial expenses incidental to this honor is entitled to receive both the bill itself and the protest para makahabol siya doon sa mga secondarily liable persons. Checks! This is the most relevant portion ng ating negotiable instruments. Yung ibang portions na diniscuss natin, those are actually just for as an overview sa negotiable instruments, as an overview, as a background sa checks. Kasi ang included naman talaga sa board exam are checks or cheque. Because considering that this is a 1911 law, ang ginagamit na lang talaga ngayon sa actual scenario sa present times is cheque. Actually nga, sa practice, ang cheque is hindi na gina-endorse ng maraming beses. Even banks require only first endorsement. Pag second endorsement na, ayaw na nila tanggapin. Hindi mo rin naman pwede pilitin because check is not legal tender. Negotiable instruments are not legal tender. So if I issue a check to you, you will endorse it to the bank para makakolekt ka ng pera. So, ang ayaw ng bank is if I issue a check to you, then i-endorse mo kay X, i-endorse kay Y, i-endorse kay Z, then si Z will go to the bank. The bank will not honor your check. So you have to go back to the drawer of the check. Because ang rule ngayon sa mga bangko is isang endorsement lang gusto nila tanggapin. Bawal ba yun? Hindi yun bawal because a check is not legal tender. Pwede siya i-refuse. Because marami naman kasi mga loko-lokong tao ngayon class, nag-issue ng check, endorse, tapos walang mundo. That is why our next slide will be about bouncing checks. Actually, yung bouncing checks ang na-included sa board exam na syllabus. Anyway, let us talk about checks. Okay? A check is actually a bill of exchange, drawn on a bank, and payable on demand. So, always bank ang drawee sa check. Kasi nasa bank yung pera. So, if you have a checking account sa bank, ang pera mo nandun sa bank, so every time you pay somebody with a check, sabi mo, actually you are telling the bank, upon the presentation of this check, you pay the holder kung ano yung nakasulat doon na amount. So, there are types of checks, class. Of course, meron ordinary check. Then, meron ding memorandum check. Nakasulat doon sa face ng check, memo, or memorandum, or memo. Pero wala naman talagang gumagawa nito ngayon. Ibig sabihin lang ng memo check class is nagmamayabang lang si drawer na kahit anong mangyari, babayaran niya talaga without any condition yung check. Lalo na pag ayaw bayaran ng bank. Cashier's check. Okay. It is one drawn by the cashier. Pero most bank managers check ang ginagamit eh. Anyway, cashier's check. Drawn by a cashier if authorized by the bank. It is actually a check made by the bank. It is deemed accepted na kasi ang bank mismo, the drawee bank itself, naggawa ng check eh. It is really a bank's own check and may be treated as a promissory note with the bank as the maker. So, ang cashier's check is a cheque na ginawa mismo ng bangko, cashier ng bangko. Ang pera nandun sa bangko. So, mas magandang klaseng cheque itong cashier's check kasi ang bangko mismo nagsasabi na may pondo ito. Cashier's check. Pero ang ginagamit talaga na ngayon is manager's check. It is drawn by the manager of the bank. It is similar to the cashier's check as the effect and as the use. So, ang usually makikita ko sa mga transactions are manager's checks. Okay? Because mas authorized ng bank ngayon ang mga manager to make the check. So, if it is a manager's check, punta ka sa bangko, may pera ka, ilagay mo sa bangko, then, so, ibig sabihin, yung bank, sigurado na may pondo, issue siya ng manager's check. Yung manager's check, mas magandang klaseng check kaysa ordinary check because a manager's check is actually backed up by the bank's assurance na may pondo. Ang manager's check. Traveler's check. Wala pa ko kakitaan yung traveler's check. But it is defined as one upon which the holder's signature must appear twice, once pagka-issue, and then another signature before it is paid. Okay. Anyway, hindi naman ginagamit yan masyado. Certified check is one which bears upon its face an agreement with the drawing bank that the check will be paid on presentation. A certified check plus is okay, check na ginawa mo, then sinertify na bangko na may pondo, certified check. Okay. Sa manager's check kasi class, sila ang gumawa ng check, yung bangko. Sa certified check, ikaw na mismo ang gumawa, then nilagyan ng tatak ng bangko na certified na may pondo. Cross-check. Ito, ginagamit ito ngayon. Usually, may cheque class, may dalawang guhit sa gilid, paakyat na ng two. Hindi siya actually cross, siya, parallel. Dalawang sa may edge, may dalawang guhit pataas, parang dalawang ganyan sa may corner, upper left corner. Ibig sabihin nun, hindi mo pwede in cash, pwede mo lang i-deposit sa account mo, and then ang bank na ang bahala mag-collect doon sa amount, ilagay doon sa account mo. Okay, so a cross check, remember, is a check na hindi mo pwede in cash, pwede mo lang i-deposit sa bank, and then ang banko na magkuha ng amount, ilagay niya doon sa account mo. So sa current scenario class, ang ginagamit talaga usually is manager's check. So of course may ordinary check, manager's check, and this cross check. Ito yung kadalasan ginagamit. Stale check. Stale check is not a type of check. A stale check is one which has not been presented for payment within a reasonable time after its issue, usually 6 months. It is valueless and should not be paid. Stale check, class panis na na cheque. Ang tagal bago gidala sa bangko. Usually 6 months yan. Initial ka ng cheque, dated January 1, 2021. You have at least 6 months to go to the bank and encash your check. After 6 months, stale check na yan. Wala nang value lang. Hindi yan owner ng bangko. You have to go back to the issuer of the check to issue another check. Kasi stale na yung nasa iyo, panis na. But take note class, kaning 6 months class is the usual. Okay. It does not mean na hindi pwede 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. May mga ibang bangko na meron silang ibang rule. 2 months lang, 1 month lang. Anyway, nakasulat din sa cheque kung hanggang kailan mo pwede in cash. Itong 6 months, usual lang na practice. Pero it does not prohibit any bank na mag-impose ng 1 month lang, 2 months lang, 3 months lang. Okay. So, any check na sobra na doon sa time for i-cash, para ma-encash, is called a stale check or panis na check. So, anong kaiba ng negotiable instruments and negotiable documents of title? Number 1, negotiable instruments follows the negotiable instruments law, while the negotiable documents of title, okay, follows the civil code. Makikita mo ito sa law on sales. Kaya lang hindi na natin diniscuss itong negotiable documents of title dahil wala siya sa syllabus ng CPA board exam. Okay. Number 2, in negotiable instruments, the holder have a right to recourse against intermediate parties or secondary liable. So, pwede siya magkabol doon sa endorsers pag dishonor yung instrument. While the negotiable documents of title, walang ganun. Walang ganun. Pwede mo lang habulin yung nag-transfer sa'yo. The negotiable documents of title. In negotiable instruments, a holder in due course may have rights better than a transferor. While negotiable instrument, the transferee merely steps into the shoes of the transferor. Okay? So, sa negotiable instrument, maaaring yung nag-endorse sa'yo, hindi holder in due course, tapos ikaw holder in due course, you have a better right kahit na hindi holder in due course yung nag-transfer sa'yo. Pero sa documents of title, kung ano lang yung right ng nag-transfer, yun lang din ang right mo. Number 4, in negotiable instruments, the subject is money, while in negotiable documents of title, the subject is goods. Goods ang nakasulat doon, hindi money. In negotiable instruments, the instrument itself is a property of value. May value kasi may amount. While sa document of title, it is merely an evidence of title. Ang may value talaga yung goods na nasa warehouse. Yung papel na hawak mo is only evidence of the goods. Okay? So that is the end of our simple presentation of the negotiable instruments law. Okay? So ginawa natin in just 2 sessions lang. Well, previously, isang buong semester itong negotiable instruments law. So do not be tawag nito. Do not be surprised na hindi ko tinuro lahat about negotiable instruments law kasi hindi natin pwede siya i-discuss lahat because it will take several amounts of time tapos hindi naman pala siya kasali sa CPA board examination. Anyway, yun ang general idea ng negotiable instruments law. Okay, so simplified lang siya, general concepts lang.